What's up, everyone? Rich Piana here. You're listening to Muscle Science and Application, so stay tuned, and soon you'll be listening to me.
Muscle performance and nutrition research reviewed daily. Real-world application tips, case studies from top professionals and athletes. You're listening to Muscle Science and Application.
Hey guys, Muscle Science and Application t-shirts are now free when you order from PR Products. Our flagship product, the Recover Roller, is a high-density sports massage roller used by NFL football players, elite powerlifters, and bodybuilders around the world. You can custom embroider your roller with your logo, name, and choose any color for it that you want. Get all the info about this free t-shirt offer at appliedmusclescience.com/shirt. Jump on over to appliedmusclescience.com to check out episode 41, part 1 of this interview with Rich Piana. Today is part 2, and our Mondays tend to be very business-focused, and so you'll notice today's episode has a lot of real-life examples of things that Rich and people he's looked up to have done to go above and beyond and really take things to the next level and help Rich experience all the success that he has experienced. So I think you'll gain a lot from this episode. I actually left off episode 41 saying, Rich, what is the best moment in your life or the best phase of your life? Has it happened already or is it yet to come? And we'll start this episode right off with his answer.
Even growing up as a kid, I had an incredible childhood. You know, I grew up in a low-income housing project, and, you know, we're on food stamps. All the other kids are on food stamps. You know, we were poor, broke, whatever. Everyone has their little sad story, but mine's not a sad story. Mine was actually awesome because I lived in an apartment complex and there was over 100 kids my age, you know, so we'd be playing baseball, football, soccer, you know, there was always a big group of us just having a blast every single day, you know, and so my childhood was awesome, you know, and school was great. You know, I played sports, I did well, you know, football, wrestling, you know, I mean, I had a great upbringing, and, that was a fun time. And then right after high school was an amazing time. You know, being out on my own and, you know, just doing the things we do. I had an amazing time, you know, and I wasn't always on the straight and narrow, you know, so I had my share of, you know, that kind of stuff going on, which was, you know, also was, you know, a different kind of fun experience, you know, and luckily I got off that trail, you know, and, you know, found the right road. But I have to say that it was all experience. It was all enjoyable. And I had a blast, you know, doing the things I did. And early in life, you know, I met a woman and she actually started, it's not, you know, it wasn't a girlfriend or anything. It was just someone I started talking to. And, you know, she started telling me about mutual funds. And that woman is what actually got my mind thinking about financial things, business, making money, retiring early, that kind of stuff. And I went and met her financial advisor. I started investing in mutual funds, and I was like 23 years old. And by the time I was 24, I bought my first house, you know, and the funny thing is I didn't even have the money to pay for the house. Basically, as far as the payments and so forth, I faked, you know, I didn't do it, but the escrow company that was working for me faked the W-2s. You know, they faked my work. They faked everything. And, you know, they got me cleared for the loan, and I bought the house, and I didn't even know how I was going to make the payments. I wasn't making enough money to even make the payments monthly. But what's funny in life is that we come to realize that you always find a way, you know, you always find a way. You know, there's this people will say, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't make rent this month. You know, can you loan me $500? And when you say, sorry, I don't have $500 to loan you, that person will always find a way to get that $500. And they don't get kicked out of their apartment. At least that's my experience. And, you know, you will always find that way to do it. And so, you know, what happened is in the beginning I was struggling, but I managed to make that mortgage payment. And as time went on, you know, I got to where it was easy to make the mortgage payment, you know, and it just grew from there. You know, I got really lucky though. I bought my first house right after the Northridge earthquake, and Northridge, everybody moved out of Northridge. You know, people were scared. People moved out of the state. I mean, it was a big earthquake, and Northridge was just, there was nothing there. I mean, the Northridge Mall closed down. You know, it was a big mall, and the whole mall closed down. They said it's never going to reopen. You know, all the houses were empty and, you know, cracked foundations, and it was just the whole area was a mess. And the housing was so cheap, you know, so I jumped on it, and it enabled me to be able to afford, you know, a decent first-time house for very cheap. And, you know, so that was just luck. And, I managed to do that. And then within a couple years, built escrow in the house. And, next thing, not escrow, am I saying, but and I went and bought my second house. Equity. Sorry, I can't even think straight.
All right.
The equity built up, and I ended up buying my second house, and the equity continued to grow. As we know, the market at that time was incredible, as of the stock market, was incredible too, with all the technology, and, it was just everything at that time. You couldn't lose. I mean, it was just like, it was unbelievable. Everyone was making money. It was just, the economy was insane. Of course, we all know it's going to come to an end, or we should know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got so lucky that I pulled all the equity out of my second house when the market was at its peak. And it was just pure luck. There's no way that anybody, knows when that is. You have an idea, okay, it's gone this high. It's going to come down pretty soon, but nobody knows exactly when it's going to happen. It really is, just luck. And I got lucky and pulled all the money out. And I swear to God, right after I pulled the money out is when the market started crashing. Stock market started crashing. It was just the luck of the draw. And I bought the houses in Texas. And, so, I have to say that I've been pretty lucky and pretty successful, and I really don't have a time when my life was bad. It's incredible to be able to say that, but it's been a good run. I did my TV stuff, 38 national commercials, and 6, 7 movies. I did like 8 or 9 sitcoms. So I did really well in that area and had a blast doing that stuff. And it was just, I can't really say when was the happiest time. I've been lucky, and I've just lived a great, wonderful life, and hopefully, it keeps going in that direction.
Awesome. No, and honestly, I don't think it's necessarily an accident. Like you said, the moves that you've made have involved some risks and kind of rolling the dice from time to time. And I think sometimes that's needed. It's actually, there's a podcast I listen to a lot called Entrepreneur on Fire. And the effect that you're mentioning there, where it's like if you put your back against the wall, you somehow make it happen. The host of that show calls it the baby effect. These people that they get fired from their job and then they have a kid, and it's like everything's crashing down, but somehow they make it work and they make stuff happen. And I think
sometimes getting fired for a job can be the best thing that can happen to you, because you got to find another job now, and now you might find a better job.
Sure.
And that's the important thing in life, is always look at the positive. The glass is always half full, and whatever happens in life, you got to look at the positive. And, if you think positive and you look at the positive, you're only going to continue to get better. And it's being positive in every area is the secret.
Mm-hmm.
It's the secret to life. If you're negative about anything, you're going to fail no matter what it is, and the funny thing is the beautiful thing about bodybuilding and weightlifting and dieting for a show and competing is you learn a lot. You learn a lot. You learn about discipline. There's so much good things you get out of it. But the problem is you have to take those things you'll learn and use them in other aspects of your life. Mm-hmm. And most people, don't do that, and I didn't do it for, a while. The amount, I've said this before, so I'm going to repeat myself. You might have heard it, but if you take the amount of time someone puts, the amount of energy, effort, and time they put into a bodybuilding contest, and they put all that same energy and effort towards opening a business, I guarantee that business is going to be successful. Absolutely. Because getting ready for a show, you're working 24 hours a day, your food, your diet, your posing, you do this for, 6, 7 months. Sometimes I would have a show a year away and I'm already working towards it, because that's how much I want to win that show. I want to do whatever it takes to win. So I'll start my prep a year ahead of time, and not necessarily dieting, but, putting more muscle on and, doing this and doing that and eating clean, but trying to put weight on. And, and if you take all that and put it towards, I hate to say it, but something more meaningful, sorry fans, but, you can acquire a lot. And that's the secret, is to take what you learn from bodybuilding and use it in other areas of your life. And that's what I learned to do. And that's what's helped me so much. And bodybuilding is an incredible, wonderful sport. You learn a lot from it. But, you have to be able to take those things and, and put it, you put it to use.
Sure. No, honestly, like starting this podcast and some of my other ventures that I'm in, there are things that doing bodybuilding was perfect for me because I was so sapped of my energy that I didn't have time to act on all those things, but it gave me an incredible amount of time to think about those things. And like you said, in the meanwhile, I'm training myself to work hard and acquire the, I guess, skills and perseverance that you would need to then move on. And so it's so important, like you said, to let that translate over into other areas of life. Couple other, let's kind of go a little bit random here, go into some things that people maybe want to hear a little more about. The whole fight incident over there in Peru, for listeners that are not aware, Rich was basically over in Peru and they staged a TV appearance for him and made it sound like, oh, it'll just be fun. We get this little scrappy fighter and this big dude, we'll throw him in a ring and let him tussle around a little and it'll be fun entertainment. And they really basically set him up and were trying to go after him and trying to make him look bad. And so tell us about that in the sense of, obviously people are always bringing different opportunities by you, and once in a while you might jump on something that ends up where someone's trying to screw you over. And so how do you keep your integrity or image, intact and just kind of weather all that crap?
Yeah. The thing is I'm very familiar with TV and I'm very familiar with, how the industry portrays bodybuilders, and pretty much a lot of the things I booked, they want to make fun of bodybuilders or make us look like meatheads or, uneducated or whatever, and I was doing it for the paycheck. And as of now, I would not do that. I would not do a Planet Muscle commercial, no matter how much money they offer me, because, I just don't believe in, making our sport look any worse than it does, and that's just me personally. I don't, but back in the day, I did a lot of commercials and I played a bodybuilder and, I did whatever they wanted me to do, because I was going to make $50,000, on residuals, so, but I know how they want to portray us. And I have to admit that it was actually, I was just being, super nice and naive. And, I honestly didn't really have any clue, that was even a possibility. And that's my own fault for not realizing that. I mean, it is kind of stupid because I'm aware of that kind of stuff. I've been around it. I've done it. So for me not to know that was kind of stupid. And, we all have to look out for ourselves. We have to do what's best for us, and the thing is even when I realized what was going on, I still was a good sport and I still just kind of took it easy, and looking back, I shouldn't have, I should be looking out for myself, and if I pick the guy up and throw him on his head and break his neck and kill him, so be it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to look out for myself, and what I'm saying? That's what I should have did, and, I was just, I was having a great time in Peru, and it was unbelievable what was going on with me with the fans. And, I felt like a superstar and I was just on cloud nine, and everyone there, and it was just amazing. And I went on the show just happy and in a good mood and just, and I just wasn't thinking clearly, and looking back, it's kind of like I get guys that come up to me and they'll be like, hey, let's arm wrestle, and I know how to arm wrestle, I have arm wrestled. I know the technique, and I can break somebody's arm, easily. And part of me, I know what they're trying to do. They arm wrestle, they're good at arm wrestling, and they want to try to make the big guy look bad, Mm-hmm. And part of me wants, to break their fucking arm, and I can, and I would. Arm wrestling is not about strength. It's about quickness. It's about technique. It's whoever locks the wrist first, and in arm wrestling, you use your body. You don't just use your arm. You use your entire body, and I know how to use my entire body, all 300 pounds of it. And there's part of me, when someone says that to me, I look at him and I'm like, I should break this guy's arm. I really should, because he's trying to humiliate me. Right now, he's trying to do something to me negative. So, he needs to put out a lesson, so I just break his fucking arm. But, what's going to happen? Am I going to get sued? Is this, is that, and the reality is I should have picked the guy up and slammed him on his head. And if he broke his neck, he broke his neck. I mean? It was a match and it was on TV and they, what I'm saying? I wouldn't be responsible. And, looking back, that's what I should have did. What does Dolph Lundgren say in Rocky IV? If he dies, he dies, hey, yeah. Right on.
Sure. No, that's interesting perspective you share there. And honestly, I think sometimes it's like it takes the bigger man to walk away or not show his strength than to.
Yeah, but not if you're risking yourself getting injured.
Sure.
The arm wrestling, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And on that show, I threw the first guy out 3 or 4 times and they didn't stop the match. And I was getting tired. The second guy, I threw him out of the rink twice. Clearly threw him out of the rink. And that's when I throw him out of the rink, it's supposed to be over. And they didn't. They kept it going, and I should have quit after the first guy because I was only supposed to wrestle one guy. It wasn't supposed to be what happened is they were going to keep coming, new guys come in fresh.
Yeah.
Kind of like, a Ken Shamrock training camp. Ken Shamrock, when he fights, he would have 10 guys come in fresh. Each guy would fight him for 2 minutes. A guy would come in fresh, fight him. When 2 minutes is up, a new guy would come in fresh, fight. And he'd sit there and he'd fight 10 guys for 20 minutes. Now, when he could do that, he's going to destroy cardio-wise whoever he's fighting in the rink. So it's kind of like that. That's what it was. They were going to keep having a fresh guy come in. And, the reality is I should have been smart. And after the first guy, I threw him out and they, recognized me as a winner. I should have just said, okay, I'm done. Because I truly was tired and out of breath. My cardio is shit when it comes to, wrestling or fighting. I'm a bodybuilder and I don't practice that to the degree of, sparring situations. I have been since that show, but at the time my cardio, was awful, and so, I just didn't handle the situation in a smart way.
No worries. It's a good lesson learned. And so that kind of dovetails perfectly into questions I had relating to balancing the bodybuilding lifestyle. So obviously you incurred a knee injury at that event and, had to, I know you still trained on crutches and everything, so kudos to you for doing that. But how do you balance all the different things you do? And obviously you mentioned, the days of worrying just obsessively over having like the absolute perfect physique and being in perfect shape all the time are over. But at what point do you, have these different ventures or these late nights or, these times away from bodybuilding foods or things where eventually you have to say like, whoa, hold on and put the brakes on because you can feel your physique straying further than you'd like or whatnot. Do you run into that sometimes and how do you balance that?
I honestly, I don't. And I'll tell you why is I'm a big believer I overtrain. I mean, my saying is there is no such thing as overtraining, but if there is, I do it because I enjoy training so much and I get a high from it and it makes me feel good about myself. And, back in the Arnold days, these guys would train 3, 4, 5, 6 hours a day, and just saying it how it is, ever since Dorian Yates came along, people are doing this 30-minute, 45-minute workouts, and to me, that's just an excuse to be lazy. If you're going to work out 30, 45 minutes, you're lazy. You're not doing enough. I don't give a shit who says what. I don't care. It's a fact. Think about it logically. Working out 30, 45 minutes a day, is lazy. It is. It's a way you can justify it and say, oh, no, you're going to overtrain. No, you're not going to overtrain. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get smaller. You're not going to lose muscle. So I am a big believer on training hard and being able to, eat what you want to eat. And I enjoy life. I've always enjoyed life and I've always enjoyed eating, and of course, when I competed, I did diet for shows, but when I wasn't competing, I wasn't dieting. Obviously I have to get the nutrients in necessary. I have to eat, so many grams of protein, the right kind of carbs. And I do eat like a bodybuilder. But what I mean is I don't become an obsessive lunatic about my food. It's like I'm not packing my meals and bringing my meals everywhere and, staying up all night cooking and getting up in the morning cooking and, going out with people and be like, oh, I can't eat this. I can't eat that. Going to dinner at my parents' house and be like, oh, I can't have this. I can't have that. I can only have turkey and broccoli, To me, that's just taking it too far. So the other side of that coin is working out harder, burning the calories to where you can enjoy yourself and get away with that, and the way I train, I can pretty much eat what I want and I stay in the shape I'm in. Sure. And what's great about that is that if I have something coming up or a photo shoot, I can eat clean for a week and be in tip-top shape, because it's just, it's kind of like people say, when you see a person that's 500 pounds and they lost 50 pounds in 2 weeks, it's like, well, yeah, they're eating 10,000 calories a day and they dropped it to 8,000.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's not like it's easy because their body's getting so many calories that when they just drop it a little bit, they just lose weight right away. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of that scenario. So that's kind of, what I preach to people because I believe in enjoying the journey. You have to enjoy what you do in all aspects of life. And, if you're bodybuilding, you want to enjoy it. You don't want to be torturing yourself. And a lot of people, they diet so hard that after the show, they have somewhat of an eating disorder that you can't stop eating. You're eating everything in sight for weeks and weeks. You're not just going out that night and picking out. You are out of your mind when it comes to food. Like you're dieting 2 weeks before the show and you're seeing TV commercials. You're dreaming about food. If I could only have this. All you talk about is food to your friends, and I miss this and I miss that. The first thing I'm gonna eat after a show, and and it's like you become food obsessed. And there's a lot of people that develop eating disorders through the sport.
No question.
Because you become so obsessed with food because you deprive yourself so much and so hard and for so long that when you finally allow yourself to eat it, you're out of control. And everyone out there who's competed can relate with that.
Absolutely.
I've gained one time I gained 55 pounds in 5 days after a show.
Wow.
I mean, that's heart attack. That's not good.
Sure.
But that's what happens. It's everyone can relate to that. That's competed. And if you don't have to be that strict. I mean, I'm not trying to give people the easy way out, but when it comes to food, I believe in doing more cardio, more to make up for that end, and you can get away with a little bit more. And it's like it's funny because people argue with me, and the first thing I say is, okay, basketball players, they don't diet.
Yep.
They eat McDonald's and they're shredded.
And they complain that they can't gain weight or keep weight on.
They have to eat McDonald's because, yeah, exactly. Who's the diver or the swimmer?
Michael Phelps.
He had to eat 10,000 calories a day just to maintain his body weight. Like, this is what it is because they work so hard. So if you're working that hard, why can't you do that? Come on, think about it. Gymnasts. I've known plenty of gymnasts. Gymnasts are shredded. They have some of the most incredible physiques they are. They're not bodybuilders, but who gives a shit? They got little tiny waist, abs, full triceps, shoulder. Like, they have incredible bodies. They don't diet. They have abs, but guess what? They don't diet. They don't need to because they're putting so much work out there every day that their body burns it up. All these athletes, they don't diet, only bodybuilders, and the thing is you have to understand that, these people that are eating strict and they still don't have abs, it's like, you're not working out hard enough. You need to turn up the intensity and turn up the volume and, get in there and just do it. And that's what I preach. For me, it's all about, enjoying what you do, working out hard, working out long, and then going and having a nice meal, enjoying your food, enjoying everything, the whole aspect of the sport, and it makes it fun. And when you're enjoying it, you're going to get more results, believe it or not. When you enjoy something, you put more into it, you're having fun, it makes you want to do more. When you're tortured and having an awful time, you're not going to put the same into it.
For sure. And we have a lot of listeners that are from more of kind of a, academic crowd, if you will, exercise science and sports nutrition, studying things formally. And I think it's important for them to hear things like what Rich is saying, because at the end of the day, I mean, sure, there is some truth to calories in, calories out. And sure, there is some truth to all the different things we know about how the body metabolizes different nutrients and how different forms of exercise affect us. But at the end of the day, it's like he's saying, it's results-based decision making. If you're eating what you want and you're not getting fat, well, then clearly it's fine. So just keep doing what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I don't want to come off in the wrong thing because we also have, health issues, and we have, there's also reasons for eating, for our health. I mean, you're not going to be eating fast food and, so much red meat and this and that. I mean, you come on, you got to be smart. It's not. Sure. People, you can always find something wrong with every statement somebody says, so I can say something, people can just come back at me with something, always. But, obviously what I'm saying is, don't take it to an extreme. I'm not talking about work out and go to McDonald's, that's not what I'm saying, Right. I'm saying, yeah, you can have your chicken and brown rice, but you can put some teriyaki sauce on it, you know what I mean? At night, you eat your steak, potato, and vegetables, and, you can have a little ice cream, It's okay. It's not going to kill you. It's funny because I was talking to a girl one time, and I never dated bodybuilder. I dated one time, and she's like, he took me out to dinner on a date, and he pulled out a Tupperware at dinner at a restaurant. She goes, and then I was ordering food on the menu, so here I'm eating. She goes, it just made me so uncomfortable, and people were staring at us and talking, and I'm just like, wow, like that's just so outrageous, and just so taking it too far, like you're on a date. Come on, man. Sure. There's got to be something on the menu you can order. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. Even if you're for You know, rice, big deal. Might have a little butter, a little oil, whatever. If you're training hard, it ain't even going to affect you.
Yeah, no, and like I said again, it's that results-based decision making. I think so many people, and honestly, in relation to business or into bodybuilding, they live their life in fear of like, oh my gosh, what if I do this, or I miss one workout, or I miss one meal, or I miss whatever it may be, and it's like, why don't you just every once in a while let it happen and adjust accordingly, or maybe you'll find out that nothing happens. And so let's move on to we'll just kind of end here with a few interesting factoids, if you will. So tell us just how big are your arms, Rich? Everyone always wants to know. They're like busting the shirt.
Yeah, my arms, they vary a little bit in, size depending on my body weight. And I think everybody knows that, when you put on 10 or 15 pounds, your arm's going to go up, maybe an eighth of an inch, maybe a quarter, depending on how your body fat's distributed. But, currently they're about 23 and 3/8. I've had them up to 23 and 5/8 is the biggest. And they can go down as low as 23, even when my body fat, I'm sorry, when my weight's like around 260, I can get down as low as 260 and go up as high as, 290, 295. And so, the range is between 20 and, 20 and 5/8. Right now, they're like 20 and 3/8. I'm about 280, 285. I'm probably going to put on another 10 pounds before the Arnold, just because I think people want to see me bigger. I don't like to be bigger. I prefer to be about 260. I feel I look better. I feel better. I can move better. I believe in, on having this kind of muscle. You don't want to lose your mobility of the body, your flexibility, your athleticism. It's kind of counterproductive when you become so big that there's certain things you can't do. So, for me, I prefer to be 260 at the biggest, but I go up to 290, 295 for expos because, fans want to see that. And here I am doing the same bullshit I was doing when I was competing, trying to please everybody else. But you know what? I'm making money at it. And, it's people want to see that. And, I kind of enjoy like I change my hair all the time. I change my goatee, my beard, because I like to be different. I like to change things around. I get bored easily. So, I'll blow up to 290, 295, and then, I'll get down to 260 and, in like a month, and I can blow back up in a month, because my body's been both places. So it's really easy for me. And, doing what I've done for so long, I know what my body, how it works and how to do it and what works best. So, I can easily blow up in a month and I could easily lose the weight in a month. And it's very easy for me. If I completely drop my carbs, I just get ripped super quick. The Atkins diet did wonders for me. My body works incredible on 0 carbs. I just get ripped, lean, within 2 or 3 weeks. It makes a huge difference. So it's really easy for me to lean out. I lose a little bit of muscle fullness, and when I'm on that kind of diet, I can't put muscle mass on. I definitely found out I need carbs to put muscle on. When I add carbs to my diet and I have like a bodybuilder type diet, chicken, rice, oatmeal, egg whites, that kind of stuff, I just fill out and my body starts growing, and I put muscle on without putting fat on because my body has been there before, so once I start doing, what I need to do, my body just grows,
Nice.
And like I said, it's easy when you've been there before. If you haven't been, it's hard to put muscle on. It takes a long time. It took me, 30 years, to put on, not 30 years, 20 years to put on that much muscle. In the last 10 years, I've kind of maintained it, but, gone up and down, back and forth.
No, I think it's good. It sounds like basically you're recognizing when you're kind of molding your body a little bit to suit others, but you're doing it still on your own term.
Once I have a break from expos, I go down,
Yep.
And it's funny because there's been people in videos and stuff, people can't tell, whether I'm 260 or 290 because, on film, you look bigger when you're leaner, so like when I first did my first Mutant video, I weighed 258, and that's small, 250. I mean, for me, that's small, but on video, I looked huge and I wasn't, and then, there's times on videos when I've weighed 280 and I don't look as big as I did it, because it's all an illusion, it's all, when you're lean, you're always going to look bigger, with your shirt off or on video or in pictures.
Yep.
But in person, when you're weighing 290, 295, people are like, oh my God, like
Yep.
you're huge,
Yep.
so I kind of get enjoyment out of that, hearing that, and, it feels good. And, it's, I'm just enjoying the ride, enjoying what I do. And so I kind of go up and down, which, isn't the healthiest thing in the world. I'm I'm definitely the kind of person that I admit things. A lot of people are in denial about things. They're in denial about, it's like, hey, growth hormone, it makes your intestines grow. It makes your stomach stick out. That's what it does. And they're like, no, it's not from that. It's, bodybuilders eat a lot of food. And so when you eat that much food, your stomach goes out from eating that much food. Once you cut back on your food, your stomach goes, no, sorry. I know you're telling you're telling yourself that because you don't want to face the truth. But the truth is it makes your intestines grow. That's why you get a herniated belly button. And that's why your intestines pop through your belly button and you have a big, huge circle sticking out of your belly button because your intestines have nowhere else to go because they've outgrown your stomach wall. That's the reality. And, I'm willing to admit all these things that happen and all these things we choose to do to ourselves to get where we want to be. Me doing what I'm doing, going up in weight, that's not the healthiest thing. Gaining 10, 15 pounds in a month is not healthy, and I'll tell everybody that it's not a healthy way to go. When you're a bodybuilder and you're eating 80 grams of protein, 8 times a day, that's not the healthiest lifestyle. I believe, protein is in a lot of ways overrated. You don't necessarily need as much as I think, that we are putting out there to everybody. And I've heard other people talk about that. And, you just got to be safe in what you're doing and you have to realize what you're doing and not be in denial, because at least if you're aware of it, you can do things that are going to help you counteract or keep you healthy. If you're doing things to your liver, you're going to cleanse your liver, you're going to take this and that, and, you're aware of it and you're trying to do the best you can to do it the safest route possible. That's if you're aware of it. If you're not aware of it, or if you're denying it, it's just trouble.
Let's transition now into, it's funny. So prior to this episode, when I didn't know about everything going on with you and Mutant, I was going to ask you, what are 3 Mutant moments, like something crazy you've done in the gym, something crazy you've done in terms of like a, amount of food you've eaten or something, and then something crazy you did business-wise. I guess we'll call them 5%er moments now instead. So give us your 3 5%er moments in those categories.
Wow, that's a stumper there. I've done so many things, I don't even know where to start. As far as business-wise, the thing I'm most proud of, I would have to say that I was successful at was the day trading. And the reason being is because this is crazy, but I knew nothing about the stock market. I didn't sit and pick someone's brain. I didn't have someone help me. I knew nothing about it. And what happened is, the woman I talked about earlier got me invested in mutual funds. So then, I started investing in mutual funds. What are mutual funds? Okay, it's a group of stocks that someone puts together, that they think are, is a great combination. And, there's high risk, low risk, whatever. And so I was like, okay, well, what are stocks? Okay, so I find out what stock. Okay, so obviously it's higher risk to just invest in a stock because it's one thing. A mutual fund is, 100 things. So if one goes down, you still have 99, to keep it afloat. So then I started investing in stocks, so I was just raising the risk, and then I heard about day trading. I didn't know what it was, started investigating. So this was all just me, investigating these things. And I didn't know what I was doing, and I went on the computer and I put so much money into E-Trade. I pulled my money out of my mutual funds. I put them into E-Trade. And I honestly just started watching the market. And I picked like 12 blue chip stocks, that were basically companies that, are not going to just go under, or go bankrupt, Microsoft, AOL, just the blue chips. I picked, strong companies and I was just going to day trade those, and a lot of people don't realize that, these companies, if you watch, they move up and down all day long. Some of them, they'll, if they're at 95, let's say, they'll go from 92 to 97 all day long, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And you can buy, you can put a buy-in order at like, say, 92, 93. And as soon as it hits that mark, it buys it. Then you can put a sell order in at 96, 97. As soon as it hits that, it sells it automatically. So obviously, if you have enough money in your account, you can make, a pretty good amount of money in just buying it at 93 and selling it at 96. And that'll happen all day long. Like it'll happen 30, 40 times in a day. So, you can sit there and do this over and over and over again. And, you might, depending on how much money you have in your account, you might only make $50 a transaction. You might only make $200 a transaction. You might make $1,000 a transaction. But if you sit there and do that 7, 8, 9, 10 times a day, by the end of the day, you can make anywhere from, $1,000 to $10,000 a day just sitting at home on your computer, screwing around, having a good time.
Sure.
And so I had the funnest time doing that because, I mean, I hate to say it because I'm not a gambler, but it was like gambling. You sit there and you can watch the stock. And if anyone goes, go watch Apple. Go on there and watch Apple. You can find out what the low was for the day and what the high was for the day, and you can find out all the information you find out. And I guarantee you're going to see it goes up and down all day long. Now, Apple is an expensive stock, so to be able to buy so many shares, you have to have a lot of money. And the stocks that move the most are the stocks that are the highest, that cost the most, obviously. So the penny stocks don't do that, so it's the big stocks that do that. So, I figured all this out and I started making, like, for me, it was a huge amount of money I was making. And I wasn't even doing anything. I was sitting at home on the computer, like, screwing around. Mm-hmm. And so that was probably my biggest financial move and funnest financial move. But again, I didn't follow my rules. And first of all, you never, ever invest on a stock tip. Never. You don't invest on someone's tip. But, I listened to someone and they convinced me, and, it wasn't a blue chip stock, and, I bought into it, and it just plummeted, like, instantaneously. And, my rules were that if a stock went so low, I sold it, I took my loss, and then I went on with my day trying to do, continue to make the money. Because, if you lock your money up, if you buy in at 93 and the stock goes down to 88 and then it goes 87, it's like, okay, you can't lock all your money up for 3 months because that's how you're making money. That's your income. So you have to make a decision that, okay, what, I'm just going to take this loss. I'll go back to this, one of my other 12 picks and, start doing what I do. For me, that was just an incredible experience. And I did it for a year and a half, and I had a blast, and I made so much money, and I couldn't believe what I had stumbled across all on my own, and it's amazing how much money can be made out in the world. That people, all you have to do is think about things, just use your brain and think about things. And here's an example a lot of people don't know about. There's people that they go to New York, they rent an apartment, okay? It's a decent, small apartment, 400 square feet. They rent it for, $2,000 a month, right? Then they advertise it and they rent it out like a hotel. They rent it out nightly. So they rent it out nightly for, $240, let's say. But you have an apartment with a kitchen, with, what I mean? You have all your amenities, sure. And it's an area that's, better than a hotel, and you don't deal with the hotel stuff. And these people, then they rent another apartment and another apartment. Next thing you know, they have 8, 9 apartments, and they're making like 50, 60 grand a month doing nothing. They just take it, they rent the apartment, they rent it out to people on a daily basis. Obviously, it's work. You have to have a cleaning crew come in after they leave. You have to rent it out. You have to talk to people. I mean, there's work involved. Anything you do in life, you're going to have to work. But I'm just saying that this is something that someone just thought of. They're like, hey, I got an idea, and that's what it's about. It's about thinking outside the box and coming up with these ideas. And there's so much money made in so many ways in life, but people just go get a job. It's kind of like, I just go get a job, and it's like, don't get a job, come up with your own thing.
Sure. Actually, as we speak, Rich, I have someone staying in my basement that I acquired through that service. Airbnb is one of those types of services. Uh-huh. And it's actually someone where basically they were going to be staying, just for a short period of time, or that's how I had advertised, and it actually turned into a 3-month deal where it's someone that's like on a medical contract and paying a premium rent and stuff. So it's worked out really well. So
exactly.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I mean, I tell people, I'm like, there's so much money out there, you just gotta use your brain. You gotta think about it, and it's crazy, and people like the economy's low and this and that. It's like, it doesn't matter. There's money to be made. There's people out there making money, and you just got to go out there and get it. And the same with everything in life. It takes work. A lot of people don't understand that you got to work hard at whatever you do, whether you're working for someone else or working for yourself. It takes a lot of hard work and a lot of energy and a lot of time. And if you're willing to put that in, you're going to end up being successful.
Sure. And a lot of people may be wondering, so it's interesting. We have some listeners that just rave about this kind of business type content that I put out, and then some that are maybe like, stick more with the science, and where is this relevant? And to me, it's incredibly relevant because it's two things. It's one, like Rich is saying, where you need to take the hard work and perseverance that you learn from adopting this fitness and healthy lifestyle that we do, and take that over to other areas of your life. And then two, it sounds like, and I'm assuming you would agree, Rich, that basically you've set up the kind of lifestyle you want because you've done these things to give yourself the financial freedom to do that. Is that correct?
Oh, definitely. I'm not satisfied. I haven't done anywhere near what I want to do. That's another thing is, you can't be satisfied. Just like bodybuilding, you're never satisfied with physique. They say when you start disliking your physique is when you start working out. Because you're not really looking at your body when you're not working out. When you start working out, you start learning, you start analyzing, you start seeing other people, and next thing you know, you're not happy. You want to be better. But that's what you want in every aspect of life. You want to better yourself in every way possible. So no matter how good you are, you constantly want to look better, and so I look at my physique and I'm still not where I want to be. I'm still not 100% happy. There's still things I want to change. I want to do this, I want to do that. And, that's what keeps us going. When you become content, then life's over. Sure. You're going to sit in a room and you're going to get depressed and, you're going to lose your drive for life.
Sure. So we talked about your 5%er business moment, and it was, again, that kind of self-education and learning a craft or an art, if you will, that you weren't familiar with. How about eating, just for the fun of it, right? We talked about how obviously we don't want to get too out of check, but once in a while we all do something a little crazy. I know myself, actually after my final contest this year, I'll put myself on blast that I ate about 32 pieces of pizza, but anyways.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I did a lot of eating contests, and nice. I've been a big eater my whole life. And my dad always tells this story to people is when I think I was 8 years old, we were at Shakey's, pizza parlor, all you can eat pizza, for like $5. And I told my dad, I said, Dad, I bet you I can eat double the pizza you eat. I bet you. So he said, all right. My dad's a big guy, and I was 8, 9 years old. And I remember, he ate 6, I ate 12. He ate 7, I ate 14, Yep. And then he ate 8, I ate 16, and then he ate 9, and he beat me. I couldn't do it. He actually won. But, that's a funny story. My dad tells everyone that story. Like, I don't know why he's part of that story, but it's pretty funny. But I've won pie eating contests. I've done all kinds of stuff. I have yet to, I've gone to places that, what's the guy, Food, Man versus Food. Yeah, I've gone to a lot of restaurants that he's eaten, and I've done what, he's done or attempted to do, and not failed. Every time I go to Vegas, I go to Hash Hash A Go-Go. That's like my favorite place to eat, and I get exactly what he got, and I have no problem polishing it off, not even a problem. It's nothing for me. Nice. And then when I was in New York, I went to Cat's Deli, which is another place he went, and had their big sandwich and everything, and it was awesome. But I definitely love food. I definitely love my food, and I'm not afraid to admit it, and I'm not afraid to eat. Sure. And of course, one of my shirts from my Love It Kill It line, the back of the shirt says, real men eat whatever the fuck they want.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? Cool. And people love that shirt, and
flying off the shelves.
It's funny because it kind of comes from my dad, because when I was younger, my dad's a man's man, beer drinker, goes to the bar, like beer, he's just like, works on cars, total like what I'm not, and so when I was a kid and, I started bodybuilding, there were certain things like, I can't eat that. I can't eat that, Dad, because he's like, I know in his head, he's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? You can't eat something. You're a fucking man,
Sure.
Like men, they fucking eat, you don't just sit there and, eat like a girl, eat like a bird, and he used to make fun of me, and so, but I was sticking to my program because I was going to be a bodybuilder. So that's what kind of stuck in my head is like, he'd always like they would drive him crazy, be Thanksgiving. I'd be like, I can't have stuffing,
Yeah.
And, him and his friends would look at me like, what the hell's wrong with your son? Is he gay?
Oh,
Yeah. Why is he, you know what I mean? Like, why is he so, whatever? Because, they can't understand it. It's like, you eat what you want, that's it's something you enjoy. So it's funny because that shirt kind of was like, kind of came from that a little bit, and then people don't understand that I'm a funny guy and I do funny things, and I don't necessarily, mean exactly what something says, they take it to the extreme, and it's like obviously that shirt doesn't mean you just go eat everything in sight, McDonald's and this and that, it's obvious. What I'm trying to say is that, you don't have to take it to that extreme, you don't have to, sit and, tilapia and broccoli for the rest of your life.
Sometimes I think you gotta
freaking work out and you'll burn it up.
Yeah, no, I think sometimes you gotta throw out an extreme like that to trump another extreme and get people to ultimately arrive at a middle ground.
Yeah.
How about so we're talking 5%er business thing, 5%er eating thing. How about a 5% gym thing, some crazy workout you went through, or maybe even like a 1 rep max lift, or something that would be impressive.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people have heard about my 8-hour arm workout, and basically it's an 8-hour arm workout. It's 16 mini workouts every half an hour, and you bring 16 mini shakes with you to the gym, and there's 2 different workouts, and on the hour you do one, on the half hour you do the other, and the workout lasts about 6 minutes. Drink your shake quickly, and then you relax for 15 minutes, and then you hit the next workout, and you do this for 8 hours straight. And it's something that's been publicized in different magazines, and it's been around for 20 years, and it's something I saw in a magazine as a kid, and I did it, and I've probably done it 12, 13 times over my life. And it's, for me, it's a blast, and it really does destroy your arms. Like, you're sore for 3-4 days, and it's not just your muscles, your tendons, your ligaments, your bones, your everything's sore, and it just drains you. And it's really hard to make it the whole 8 hours. When you're at the second, third hour, you're like, oh, this is a breeze. Like, this is nothing. You hit the halfway mark, you start feeling it. 5th, 6th hour, that's when it starts to really kick in. And to get through that 7th and 8th hour, it's really, really hard. But it's funny because when I tell people that, they're like, what? Wait a minute. They're like, 8 hours? 8 hours is for arms? They just can't even comprehend that I'm even saying what I'm saying, and to me, it's not a big deal because I've done it so many times, I mean, I've done that, like I said, 12, 13 times, and it's something fun. You get a workout partner, and, you sit and spend the day, and, whatever. Some people say, who has time to do that? Well, you make time, right?
Yeah. Who has time to spend all day on Facebook and not know where the time went, right? Like
we have too much time in the world nowadays, I have to say. Too much time on our hands.
Sure. So with those workouts, would you mind reporting, like, there's people I'm sure that are listening, so they're like, oh, come on, that's ridiculous. Sure, you had fun, but did you actually gain anything? Were you able to notice any gains that stayed with you for weeks afterwards?
But the claims are, the claim was gain an inch on your arms in 24 hours. Now, when you measure your arms the next day, they're so swollen and so inflamed that your arms are an inch bigger. So you do gain an inch in your arms, but we all know that muscle tissue doesn't grow, it doesn't grow overnight. So we know, you're not getting an inch of muscle. And if you are gaining a muscle, it's not much. It's just, it's impossible.
Sure.
We know that scientifically it's impossible, but it does shock the hell out of the arms, and the whole point is shocking the muscles, confusing them, doing things they're not used to, so it's definitely a good way to shock the arms into some new growth. But obviously, you're not going to put any noticeable gains on. But, when I was a kid, I like to believe I did.
Yeah. No, and again, at the end of the day, like you say, it's mostly just about enjoying yourself, doing something to mix it up once in a while. And quite honestly, even as a scientist myself, I mean, as much as I would be skeptical of any long-term benefits, it's one of those things where it's like, well, if it hasn't been researched, how would you actually know? It's an extreme scenario, and kind of won't know till you try type thing. And so I think it's at least a good lesson in terms of creativity with one's workouts. Don't always feel like you have to follow someone's 5-3-1 exactly, or their power hypertrophy exactly, or their flex magazine split exactly. You can mix it up, try something a little extreme once in a while, and see what happens. On that note, Rich, I think we're going to wrap things up. Let's end with, if you can think of one random thing that maybe your fans and other people don't know about you, like the most off-the-wall, secretive, kind of in-the-trenches thing.
I don't know if I have it. I mean, I have a lot of off-the-wall things, and there's some stories I would love to tell people, because I got some crazy stories, that it blows people's minds. But, there's certain things I can't say, you know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
It cause problems. But one thing that popped in my head while we were talking is a question I've never been asked, and I've been interviewed a million times, is, Rich Piana, who is your mentor, or who is your idol? I don't think I've been asked that. Maybe I have. I don't know. But it's a good question, correct?
No, it's one of those things where you're, like I said, such a solopreneur and such a self-starter that at the end of the day, it's like, well, clearly he's got to be, following some people and practicing what you're saying, where you're like, look at the people that are successful and find out why.
Yeah, I mean, clearly my answer sounds typical, but a lot of people don't really know the details involved in why. But, Arnold Schwarzenegger would be my choice, and it has nothing to do with body. It has to do with his, his mentality, his mental strength, his drive. And the thing is Arnold Schwarzenegger has accomplished so much. The reality is his genetics for what he has accomplished, he should have never accomplished anything. In bodybuilding, he did not have superior genetics. I don't care what anybody says. Sergio Olivier had superior genetics. That guy was amazing. Serge Nabray, there's guys like Larry Scott, they just had incredible genetics. Arnold didn't have the greatest genetics, but what he had is he had the mentality and the mindset of a champion, and he looked outside the box, and he would use everything possible to accomplish his goal. Now, example, a bodybuilder getting ready for a show, all they do is get their body the best they can do and hope for the best. Arnold would use every possibility to win that show. He did some crazy things, whatever it took, and for him to get into acting and become an actor, I mean, let's be honest, he was awful, but he did it. He became one of the top actors at the time, and there's no way in the world he should have accomplished that. No way in the world. He had no ability, zero. But you know what? He had the drive to not give up. He got laughed at, he got made fun of, but guess what? He kept going, and he did it. Most people would give up. Getting into politics, unbelievable. Everything he did was for he didn't marry Maria because he loved her, because whatever. It was all career choices. If he can get into the Kennedy family, that's putting him, that's where he needs to be.
Sure.
He just will do whatever it takes to accomplish his goals. And I think it's unbelievable that he's willing to go to that extreme, and he actually does it. So again, Arnold would be probably my number one, but it has nothing to do with bodybuilding. It's the mentality that he has and the mental strength, and, just continuing to push forward and be persistent and accomplish his goals, no matter how impossible they are, impossible they seem. So for him to be able to accomplish what he's accomplished, I feel like, anyone can accomplish anything. I mean, Jesus Christ, As far as my favorite athlete of all time is Mike Tyson. And a lot of people might say, oh, how could you look up to him? But man, if I want to watch something to motivate me, I don't watch bodybuilding. I watch Mike Tyson fights. I watch Mike Tyson fights on YouTube, and that pumps me up. I mean, he's just like amazing. Every guy he fights is bigger than him, and his speed and the way he moves, and his athletic ability, and is just crazy. I mean, it's unbelievable, and that's what I watch to motivate me, is the Mike Tyson fights. I can watch it all day long. I was watching it this morning.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, I mean, that's something people don't know.
That's awesome. No, thanks for sharing, Rich. I think the real valuable take-homes that come out of that is, you're giving multiple examples. Mike Tyson going up against people that he has no right beating, and yet he does. And then Arnold coming over here to the States and doing all that he did. And, Rich being as successful as he has because he put himself out there and tried some new things and invested in some things that he had no business being successful in, but he did. And so once again, to all of our listeners, I think that's just a incredible take-home message. And I thank you so much for coming on, Rich, and being so open and sharing all that you did with us. And it's actually, like I said, kind of crazy to think that here we are, the Arnold Classic only a week away, and you won't be at the Mutant booth, but luckily people will be able to find you at the One Day You May booth.
No, I appreciate the interview. I had a good time, and I love talking. I love motivating. Hopefully, a lot of people got a lot out of this interview. That's what I hope for. I hope that, because it motivates me to talk about this stuff. You talk about it, it helps you. I'll get up tomorrow morning and I'll be motivated, more than ever, just because, I'm talking about it.
That's
so
awesome.
it's helping me. Hopefully it's helping other people. And, we should sit down and chat, because I love talking to people that have ideas and, have that train of thought and that way of thinking.
Nice. Well, I'll be at the Arnold. We'll have to be in touch.
For sure. Come by the booth,
Awesome.
Not the Mutant booth, the Love It Killer booth.
Awesome. Well, everyone, you can find Rich there, and I'll be there meandering the expo as well, spreading the word about the podcast, and hope to meet a lot of you, and I'm sure Rich does as well. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you tomorrow. Thanks, Rich.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Take care.
See you.
All right, bye-bye.
So this interview with Rich was actually recorded back in February, and he was nice enough to jump on the phone with me today, March 16th, to give me a little update on what life has been like after Mutant. So for the first time, we will be launching a bonus episode here on Muscle Science and Application. So check back a little bit later today, and we'll have part 3 of our interview with Rich Piana. Just to give you a little update on where things have gone since moving on to newer, bigger, better things. And don't forget to check out the free t-shirt offer over at appliedmusclescience.com/shirt.
Thanks for listening to Muscle, Science, and Application. We'll be back tomorrow. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on iTunes. Find us at appliedmusclescience.com.